Good morning and welcome to another segment of the fascinating world of birds. Today our keen bird enthusiast, Chanit Wijeratne, joins with us to talk about another interesting bird species. Good morning, Chanit. Thank you for joining us today.
Good morning and thanks again for having me.
So Chanit, to kick off this segment, can you tell us something interesting about this bird species?
The bird I plan to talk about today is one of my favorite birds and a bird I've been very lucky to see a few times now, the grey falcon. Now, the grey falcon is a bird that's almost legendary among Australian bird watchers, partly because of just how rare it is. The grey falcon is found only in inland Australia, and though its range is quite widespread, found in most of the Australian states somewhere, nowhere in its range is it common. It's always a special sight to see. You would find few bird watchers who would keep driving if they saw a grey falcon on the side of the road. It's a ludicrously rare bird, and in fact, because of how rare it is, it has earned the nickname among bird watchers, the grey ghost. It's also quite a beautiful bird. It's a sort of soft pale grey colour on the with a dark grey on the upper parts, with a yellow beak that contrasts boldly against the sort of understated beauty of it. So it's a very cool bird to see.
So Chanit, you mentioned this bird species is quite rare. Whereabouts in Australia would you find it?
Like I said, though they are rare, the range is quite widespread, and there's actually a bit of a funny trick to finding them. You see, for whatever reason, grey falcons really like big, tall communications towers. Think those large metal pylon-like structures you see at the end of power lines. Grey falcons, for whatever reason, absolutely in love with those. So the best way to see a grey falcon is when you're in a grey falcon's range and you pass any of these towers, just give it a quick look. Now, sometimes it can be quite difficult to pick up a falcon sort of nestled in snug quite high up on the towers, but sometimes it's quite obvious. It really depends case to case. But this is by far the best way to see them, because if you check enough towers, you'll eventually hit a falcon somewhere. They also like using these towers to nest, so sometimes where there's a known pair nesting, that makes it a bit easier as well. Although, of course, like with any nesting bird, you have to be cautious, very cautious as a rare bird too, not to disturb them too much.
Now Chanit, if one of our bird enthusiasts watching at home wanted to find this bird species, whereabouts in Victoria would they head to?
Well, that's actually a bit of a much argued question. They do make it down to Victoria, but depending on who you ask, the amount of times one has been seen in Vic might vary, because some of the records are a little dodgy, some records are quite well substantiated, some with photos as well. There have definitely been Victorian sightings of grey falcon, but they're rare like hen's teeth, especially this far down south. The best way to see one is probably just to go up into the northwest and just keep an eye out by the roadside during a very good year when all of the northern birds come a bit further south than normal. But even then, in this state, there's absolutely no guarantee, and it would be an incredible find if you ever did luck your way upon one.
That's wonderful. Well, Chanit, thank you so much for joining us again and sharing your expertise on this wonderful bird species.
Thanks again for having me.
Join us again next time as we discuss a fascinating bird species with Chanit Wijeratne.